Hello, everyone. It's rainy day in Virginia, underneath the tent. So I'd like to just get down to today's discussion. And today's discussion will be about three things: about how you develop your priorities for your societal life, um, then this idea of structural arrogance and small groups as decision makers, and then getting your voice out during this process of being a citizen. So this is our plan to today, but it strikes off from the end of our previous segment where we talked about taking the initiative. How do you do it? So if we talk about priority, right, this idea of superimposed priority from somebody from the outside who has strategically decided that these are the issues that we're going to talk about. It's that kind of priority that I'm referring to change that so that's your priority as a citizen. So if we think about this type of priorities are usually based on values. So it seems this word values is overused, but the reason it's extremely important what your values are is because the way the human being thinks, the values are a prism for everything else in terms of how you interpret. So they're the base programming in your thought process, where from them everything else has relevance. So this is this idea of values from this perspective. So if you think about it, we all have slightly different values, but they're all pretty basic. We could probably capture them in a few words, each of us if we wanted to, right? Because of the different life experiences that we've had. But something that I think we share, all of us share in America, is a respect for diversity, because we simply have come from all over the place. Everywhere we meet somebody new, somebody different, somebody that just fascinates us because, right, they're from another part of the world and we share the same space together. This is something we value because we ourselves had the opportunity to take advantage of it as we evolved in this civilization. The second issue is probably economic, is everybody's looking from their economic position and they want to lead dynamic, fulfilling lives. So how does the economic, in terms of what you're interpreting, play in terms of your personal, your family perspective? And then third, cultural, is this choice of what kind of society do we want to live in? In some ways, it could be absolutely anyway. Right? But it can't be anyway, because we have the values that we've defined for ourselves that then define the way we would like our world to be and how we would like it to be structured. So somehow all of these linguistic mental processes, they end up shaping the relationship we have to our world and the way we interpret it. And then they have direct relevance because, right, it shapes itself in the communications we have with other individuals in this society. So this is this idea of what's important for you, and this idea of what truly are your values, something which you yourself only must consider because it comes from you. It comes from your assertion to be able to think about these few categories on a sheet of paper, wherever, and this is how everything else you interpret. It's really that simple. As human beings, we're quite simple form in terms of how we function and operate. So that's a beginning to this. But very frequently, when we try to exhibit our thoughts and values and ideas in a society, it's very difficult, isn't it? Because the stories, the formats, the ideas, they're already expanded upon. They've already been designed in ways from different generations. So to break through these discussions about values and what's our priority has already been structured from a previous time. So I'd like to term this idea of structural arrogance. Right, structural arrogance is exactly that. It's been done this way before. So we've defined it this way before. So why in the world would we ever change something that's already been designed before, right? That's a type of structural arrogance. But a different type of structural arrogance is the one that we feel on a daily basis. So you want to share your idea, you're excited about it, but you don't have a phone call, right? or your ideas left somewhere in a database, or nobody ever contacts you about this great idea you have for your community. Or even worse, you have all these great ideas, but you don't even know where to share the initiative, how to share your initiative, or you think that leading and guiding this place is the job of somebody else and not your own. And I think this is something that has frequently been understood. Well, that's a good thing about democracy, right? Because everybody's kind of content with what exists. So if they're content and if they're not active, it actually means they're satisfied by the infrastructure that exists. And there's much to be satisfied about. But from time to time, though, as we encounter rigid changes in the actual infrastructure of how our societies work, what we find is we have then a complacent populace that really doesn't know how to engage right around them and to share their initiatives in such a way where they bring these voices back to the institutional infrastructure of the society. So this is what this is about again. What's important for you? What are truly your values so that you can share them to bring them upward into this environment so that everybody knows. And my guess is you do this, but you do this usually through elections. The elections become the format where you actually share your ideas, where you share your opinions, where you have discourse with your friends or people who were your friends or now not your friends because they think completely different than you do, right? As we've kind of experienced over the past few years, and it becomes this amazingly shaped friction, which kind of nobody really wants, I don't think, and nobody really needs, because what we prefer to have is a well-run, efficient government that actually listens to all of us, and which actually designs this world based on the differences that we have, but in a reasoned, substantial way, where right it makes sense, right? Going back to the earlier ideas, there's truth, there's fairness, there's diversity in terms of how these ideas are enacted and defined and designed. So this is what I think all of us actually want, whoever we are, wherever we are, whatever we think is important. We just want things to work, essentially. And that's the problem, is sometimes we don't think they work, right? Or maybe they just don't work. My suggestion here is probably what is missing is that voice again, your voice, into absolutely everything that you do. But your voice is in the wrong place, is actually what I would suggest. You think your voice, and I also thought this way, that my voice needs to be the vote. But maybe our voice needs to be somewhere else. Our voice needs to be in these small communal formats, in these places where we're actually individuals who know something and who actually can contribute something to the design of those small communal formats. So what do I actually mean by this? So we think of the world as being, right, these ideas, these large mechanisms sometimes, and these things we can't control. It's actually all very controlled, isn't it? Here in Washington, D.C., right, in this area of the world, you'll find every small group, every type of association here, right? So if you think about whatever the association is for your local community or for your professional interest, if you join these associations, and if you're a part of these associations, you actually contribute in some way to design that space, that area of relevance. And then as a civilization, as we define these spaces in these small groups, we actually affect the decision making of those small groups and the content of and information which is there. So different groups like American Association of Retired People, aviation, teachers, accountants, everything is kind of in these rule-based type of bodies where individuals actually do the work to think of how that space is going to be shaped in terms of the wider conversation. But what seems to also be missing from this, though, is the communication flow of these spaces. So are things structured in regards to what you have to say? What about all these individuals who don't belong to any associations? Or what about all these associations that don't exist because they don't bind communities and the actual voices that communities require to have sustained efforts to have their interests be expressed so that the wider infrastructure knows of them? So these are all kind of questions of communication flow in this civilization. And the fundamental question is are things structured to hear what you have to say? And why is there a confusion in messages in terms of what you have to say? Where is this mechanism in terms of bringing forth your thoughts, your ideas into this infrastructure? Is this question? And those who are organized, those voices are there. Those who are organized, they're able to engage government representatives with those voices. But for those of us who are elsewhere, who maybe feel like we don't have something to share, or maybe we don't have the expertise to share, this is not true. Because you are the expert of your lived experience. You are the expert of how to approach the world from that perspective. And back to the structural arrogance again. When you engage in an effort to improve your world, the role of government is to improve the communication process so you're able to do this on a continuous basis. But instead, we find something else sometimes. We again find the unanswered phone call. We find somebody omitting this because it's not necessarily in terms of their wider interest or the policy which they've already established. This is the key question of how to organize human beings in our civilization, is how to bring forth these ideas continuously from different areas of expertise, because then there's ownership. You participate, you own, you care, you define, and you see that you have a route to realize yourself as a priority within the society. And this is key to everything. This is key to our lived experience. This is key to manifesting our values and to becoming these fully fulfilled human beings in our society. And I think this is maybe something which came from the last discussion. Is, if you think about it, many times when we approach the world, our heads are a little bit down like this, right? We don't pick our heads up, and because we're used to these series of issues that we're dealing with on a daily basis. But I think it's time that you look around, right? Be open, get experience in your area of relevance, and learn how to change your mind. I guess we all have to learn how to change our mind continuously, because the world around us and is shaping itself in this transition to this network world, to this AI world, where absolutely everything will change. And as everything changes, we are either participants, where we're able to realize our thoughts and ideas in this world, and these thoughts become part of this world, or simply, as we've discussed before, somebody has defined this world for us. So I would venture to guess in my proposal is that the job of society is to ensure the best communication flow of the citizen. That is the job of society, to get the best knowledge of what you need, to get the best knowledge of what's important for you. And today I was actually watching Meet the Press, and I was a little bit confused because there was this idea of individuals who have a lot of monetary power in this world, having discussions about who is the most powerful and who is able to influence what. And in that discussion, the money and power of these individuals seem to be determined as key as to in which way this world develops. Now, on the one hand, I'm kind of happy that I hear this conversation, because I think it's actually honest and truthful, that there's individuals who have influence and power over our institutional infrastructure. And they're actually sharing this argument or this intimate idea of how it shapes itself. But from a different perspective, hold on a second. We're the citizens here. Why do you think you have that much power in terms of the course and direction of that society? Right? So nothing against your power, nothing against your ability to create wonderful things. But that's your private domain. It's not the public domain. In the public domain, we are equal voices that share the course and direction of this society. And very frequently, which is unfortunate, is when we share these public voices, it seems our voices are not heard because there's so many. And it's actually these voices which need to be compelled and brought into focus continuously, because this is our life, right? This is our purpose. This is our design. If we have citizens who are active with active communication flow, then we could not only be theoretical participants, but actual participants where things are important. In the conversation which I had several months ago, what we seem to be missing is having the right person for the right job, right? So sometimes we need somebody who knows how to construct the roads out there in that policy panel. Sometimes we need somebody who's a babysitter in that policy panel. Sometimes we need somebody who has direct experience as as a car mechanic in that policy panel. Simply, there's a place for everybody in this society and everybody's contributions to develop this world around us. Hopefully, if we ask the questions, hopefully if we learn, hopefully if we participate, then infrastructure will see that we're serious about this business of democracy and creating this world around us as citizens.